Voidmage Gamer is now partnered with Flipside Gaming, so you can use the promo code on their website, all caps Voidmage, to get 10% off all orders $10 or more. It's a great way that you can support both Flipside Gaming and Voidmage Gamer's channel. Hello guys, Void here, coming back at you all with another video. This time we're going to be going into 3-color top 10 videos. Starting it off here with Esper. There's a ton of cool cards because in Commander 2018 we got an Esper deck, so there's plenty on this list that I didn't put on the previous one, which I believe I did that one over a year ago. But Esper is a very powerful color combination. You have a lot of control, counter spells combined with the best removal in black and white, and as far as commander options go, you have a ton of them, which is what this list is going to be primarily comprised of, which I think is kind of the issue going into 3 colors. You don't see a lot of versatile cards, and why should you? I mean, we're getting pretty specific now. Most of the 3-color decks you're going to be making are going to include a lot of 2-color cards and a lot of monocolored cards, mostly monocolored. So flexibility isn't necessarily the goal on this list, although it's something I do keep in mind. Let's start it off like we do with the other videos. Honorable mentions. As much as I think Brilliant Ultimatum is a cool card, I just don't see a lot of decks playing it. It's the kind of card that I would like to play, although I feel like there's better enablers, there's better ways of cheating out your other spells, and you do kind of have to hope that out of the top 5 cards of your deck you are getting lucky, but most of the time I don't see this being too powerful. And we have Chromium, the new Chromium from M19. I was a little disappointed with a lot of the dragons from this set, mostly because they didn't really do anything crazy, and these are supposed to be the Elder Dragons. The ability is kind of cool, a way to protect himself. I mean, other than that though, Esper controls pretty much the norm. So let's get right on into the list. Number 10 is Verena Lich Queen from Commander 2018. I always like adding another color to an otherwise monocolored tribe. Well, with zombies, I feel like you didn't have that problem, which is why I'm not going to give Verena huge bonus points, because we did have Grixis zombies. You do have a ton of zombie decks already present in the format before Verena even came out. The huge thing here though is that we've never had a white themed commander deck based around zombies, or a white commander that also happened to be a zombie. And you get 3 colors here, which is pretty cool. This was a huge help to people that loved the white zombies from Amonkhet, because you got to throw those into this deck. Overall though, I don't think she's too crazy, just a solid engine if you're looking for that. It does make sense you're in Esper colors, you want some extra card draw, and you do want that added synergy with zombies, so I think she's a pretty solid commander. Maybe not personally for me, but I think she's pretty cool. Then number 9, we have Sen Triplets. Not a commander that you see all the time in the format, and thank goodness for that. I will say that the triplets are pretty dang powerful though. Main downside is that there are very few scenarios in which you play Sen Triplets, and you don't just receive instant vitriol. Commander is mostly about politics and how you can manipulate your opponents, so if you're using this to pick on the same player every single one of your turns, it's going to take a lot of the fun away for that player, so just be careful how you use it. Otherwise though, being able to take their spells, play them, they can't really do anything on your turn, so just feel free to cast whatever you want from their hand if you're able to. So pretty much one of the more powerful commanders on this list. Number 8, we have Yennet Cryptic Sovereign, another Commander 2018 standout. Yennet is really cool and creative. I give bonus points for the whole odd themed tribal, because we haven't really seen it before. We do see some cards that say you can't cast even spells, like Void Winnower, but we didn't have an actual commander to make a theme around it. And on top of that, there's a lot of cool top deck manipulation already present in the game, so you do have ways to manipulate your deck so you can get a free cast. And Yennet is a pretty solid creature, has plenty of evasion to get around blockers, so you don't have to worry about her dying as often, and the vigilance is pretty sweet too. Maybe not one of the more powerful commanders on this list, but definitely one of the more creative. Number 7 is Sidri Galvanic Genius from Commander 2013. She has been one of my favorite commanders in these colors, because she's a unique approach to artifacts that isn't just combo and win, although you can most certainly do that with Sidri. There are certain interactions that you're rarely going to see in other decks. You of course have the Mycosynth Lattice combo, so you can just start pinging off your opponent's lands. While I don't always agree with doing that, there's other cool things like Caltrops and Staff of Nin, so you can take advantage of Death Touch. So creativity, design, a lot about this card to like. Even though she may not be super competitive when it comes to artifact commanders, something like a Breya, you have all the flexibility in the world in that deck. I just like the combination of life gain and artifacts. Number 6, we have Aminatu the Fate Shifter. Yes, I am going to put all of the commanders from Commander 2018 on this list that happen to be Esper in that set, because I think they're all pretty decent. Aminatu is actually really creative. I know a lot of people are going to look at her at first and say, she's not that good, her plus doesn't really give you that much advantage. Her minus is where it's at. and this is what I have to keep reminding people, because Enter the Battlefield abilities are some of the most powerful in the game, and she doesn't just do it for creatures, like some cards only specify creatures. Aminatu can have other permanents enter the battlefield again, like Oath of Liliana, Disinformation Campaign. There's a lot of different things that you can fool around with. You can also reset planeswalkers that way, and of course, combos are definitely a big reason why I put her on this list. She is a huge combo enabler. Even if she's not going infinite, she could definitely start it off by blinking something like a Palinchron, giving you a ton of excess mana. And to top it all off, she's only 3 mana for a planeswalker. I most of the time ignore her ult, but if we're going to talk about it, it is pretty creative. If you want to play a more fair, tame version of the deck, maybe delve into chaos a bit, I could definitely see it work out for you. Number 5 is Magister Sphinx. Kind of the same situation as Sent Triplets. Be prepared to receive a lot of hate for doing this. Setting an opponent's life total to 10 is such a big deal when there are so many ways to gain life, on top of a format where you start off at 40 life. Arguably more of a headache than Soren Markov's ability, because you do have things like Aminatu where you can constantly just blink them in and out, get the ETB all over again, set another opponent's life total to 10, and just keep piling up the misery. And on top of that, Magister Sphinx is also an artifact, so if you have any other artifact recursion, there's just a ton of ways to get it back. Definitely one of the biggest headaches coming out of Esper, but still some decks need a win con like this, so I have to put it on the list. Number 4, we have Esper Charm. This is going to beat out Dromar's Charm pretty easily, mostly because I view Dromar's Charm as a 3-mana counterspell with very little upside and versatility. Esper Charm, you have enchantment removal, you have card draw, you can force an opponent to discard 2 cards. Most of the time though, I'm going to lean towards drawing 2 cards for 3 mana instant speed. It's pretty good, and it's a nice thing to have that versatility and card draw when you could also just make an opponent who only has 2 cards left in their hand discard those 2 cards. And enchantments are a big deal in the format. We have things like Food Chain. Usually versatile removal spells, card draw spells are pretty good in the format already. And then number 3, we have what is probably the most played commander in these colors, Aloro Ageless Ascetic. Now I'm going to take away some points here. He's not going to be number 1, and a big reason why he's not going to be number 1 is because he doesn't actually do anything, or at least anything that's a big deal. Aloro is simply an enabler for a strategy that is already pretty good at protecting itself. If you're able to just hide behind your pillow fort and gain 2 life each one of your upkeeps, it's a pretty decent way of grinding it out to the late game. Like I said before, Esper is perfect control colors. You have plenty of removal, plenty of board wipes to choose from. If you could spend the whole game playing solid control when you're just gaining 2 life constantly, your opponents are going to struggle to get you out of the game. And on top of that, you have a ton of life gain synergies, ton of things that trigger just for you gaining life. So if you have Karlov out there, he's just going to get more counters. If you have a Well of Lost Dreams, you can just draw more cards off of gaining that life. And even though he does do something when he's on the battlefield, you're rarely ever going to cast him. But you could if you do want that extra bit of card draw. Overall though, for the past 6 years, he's been a pretty dominant commander in the format. But I don't know if it has everything to do with him or just a good combination of life gain and Esper control. Number 2, we have Zur the Enchanter. A pretty cool and dominant commander. Does see some competitive EDH play, and also sees play in some pretty good budget decks as well. There's a lot of different directions you can go with Zur, and he's also pretty good as one of the 99. If you're looking for a toolbox kind of commander, you want to fool around with some versatile enchantments, he's pretty cool. But overall though, tutoring is pretty powerful in the format. While he doesn't have a huge selection of cards to choose from, very specific in what he can search up, he does put it right into play. So if you really need something like a diplomatic immunity, you can get it out. If you really need something like a ghostly prison, you can get it out. If you want to get an astral slide, you can get that. Cycling decks are really cool with Zur the Enchanter because a lot of the necessary components for those decks happen to be enchantments CMC 3 or less. So overall, he's a pretty cool commander. And whenever you have a commander that can just search stuff out of your deck, cheat it into play, you know that's going to be powerful. And then we have number 1, what I feel like is the number 1 Esper card in the format, Sharuum the Hegemon. What I think is just as good as being able to tutor is being able to recover. Late game, I don't really think it gets much better than Sharuum. You have a lot of other graveyard decks in the format, in Golgari like Marin that can recover pretty well. I feel like Sharuum is Esper's Marin, because it doesn't really matter if you're able to stop Sharuum, you're able to kill her, you just keep recasting her, get back your other setup artifacts and go off. And you can also combo with her, but if you could get back your Magister Sphinx with her, if you could get back Ascend Triplets with her, there's just a ton of nasty things that you can do with Sharuum. And even if you want to play on a budget, there's still a lot of cool stuff that you can get back. You don't necessarily have to lock out your opponents or have any sort of crazy infinite combo, but just that recursion that ability to recover late game is such a big deal in the format, and Shroom has been a presence for a while. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this top 10 video. Let me know what you think about Esper. What are your favorite cards and the colors? You all have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next video.